it off? Oh shit. Yeah. Getting your audio sorted. Fuck. About as well as it's gonna be anyway. Hi, I'm me. I am nobody. This is very important for what I'm going to be talking about because it means I'm very qualified. I have no involvement with any of these people other than I watch them. I was originally going to not name drop them, but then I fucked that up in the first 5 seconds, the first part. So, yeah, this is a second take. For context, what I'm actually talking about, because I'm sure the title is going to be hot garbage that does not tell anybody anything. This is basically about the weird shift the atheist community did, because nobody else seems to talk about it, and it really bothers me. Except for like one guy mentioned it one time, but he didn't actually go that in deep on it. It was kind of like offhand, and about how the people who used to do this sort of thing suddenly stopped using sources, which is a pretty big problem. This is going to be very scatterbrained, but it's okay, because while I don't have a script, I do have notes. And as you can tell, they're very good notes. That's about the best joke you're gonna get in this entire video, honestly. Okay, thanks. My actual notes are very unhelpful. I probably should have thought this through more. Are you okay? So yeah, I don't really have any notes either. And I don't really have any talking points. I'm just gonna kind of ramble. So anyway, basically here's the thing. Once upon a time, there was a group called the atheist community. Apparently everyone's decided they were called skeptics at the time, but I never heard anyone ever say that at the time, so I don't think that's what they were. So the atheist community had a pretty obvious specialty, which is that they were atheists, and they did not believe in the big G. Which is fine, because I didn't either. Probably the most prominent one at the time was the Amazing Atheist. I could be wrong, I just remember he was the big one. Literally and figuratively. Which is shocking considering his content was terrible, but then again, he's also the one who converted me into an atheist. Oh god. Amazing Atheist is the reason I was an atheist for so many years. So anyway, there was this wonderful community. It wasn't very wonderful, arguably. It was pretty toxic. But it was a bunch of dudes, and they would go around and they'd find creationists and flat earthers and later on anti-vaxxers, and they'd be like... Usually what happened was people would just do their little things where they'd be talking about how God is real, and then the atheists would come in and go, God don't real. Those are the less entertaining ones. The more entertaining ones are usually where they'd be like they'd be arguing the creationist types. Usually it'd be very low-hanging fruit. It'd be people who actively don't look into these sorts of things, trying to argue about science when they don't understand science. And then you'd have the atheists who come in who do understand science, or at least pretend to, and then they would go, you wrong, and here's why, and then they would have sources, usually, if they were half-decent. And that was that. It was pretty straightforward. The content hasn't even evolved that much outside of the subject matter in years. Really, that's all they do. And you know what? It can be entertaining if you're a 14-year-old with a superiority complex, or somebody with mind of a 14-year-old with a superiority complex. So, like, all of these people's fan bases. I think I figured it out, everyone. That was their whole thing. It was great. They did that for years. And then I don't know what happened. Actually, I do know what happened. It was Gamergate, probably. Everything looks like it's Gamergate if you squint hard enough, but I'm sure Gamergate actually isn't responsible for near as much as we like to ascribe it to be, but, you know, people like to pretend it is. That seems about the time. It was really an Idiot Sarkeesian. Anyway, they got really angry that there was a woman expressing an opinion online. So then, what happened was they were like, okay, these damn feminists, and they were doing that, but they were also doing the creationist content for a while, but the feminist content got a lot more views. And so, slowly but surely, they transitioned to solely anti-feminist content. And by slowly and surely, I mean they basically all did it overnight at the exact same time, because there's another fun fact about the atheist community, which is they were all unoriginal hacks. And by they were all unoriginal hacks, I would mean they all literally just did the same thing. And like, not that they were all doing the same content, I mean that they were all doing the same videos. They would like go and find the same YouTube video, and then they'd yell at that person, and they'd all do a response. And since they were all responding to the same points, they would all regurgitate the same thing. And so basically you were just having the same information repeated to you over and over again if you watched multiple of these people, because they're too lazy to go find other people. As far as I can tell, this problem still still persists to this day. I don't watch these people, though, because I'd really rather not fuck up my recommendations, thank you very much. YouTube does a fine job of trying that anyway. You know, I'm suddenly realizing why people don't do videos about this, because there's not much to talk about. I guess what I'm curious about, really, is I'm kind of just wondering, like, how much of it was just because it was the hip thing? Do you think all of them? It couldn't have been all of them. All of them couldn't have just been like, wow, let's all be shitlords together now. Which, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be such a big deal if they were such anti-feminist fuckwits, because, you know what? A lot of pop feminists can be kind of ridiculous. That's fine. Which would have been fine, honestly, if they had just stuck to that. But then, of course, everything goes, and they kept being anti-feminist and attacking the lowest hanging fruit they could possibly hit, because these people don't have the debating skills to go after anyone with higher debating skills, and also they don't actually know what they're talking about. They're mostly just talking out their asses, and they actually haven't researched anything they're arguing. They just kind of say what sounds right. Yeah. They'll tell you they aren't. They'll tell you they're backed by science, but they're actually bullshitting you. Like, no bullshit. The king of honest... I'm sorry. I really should have just gone with a no name calling. This is a mess. This is why you script things, children. This is why you make better notes than this book. I have a book here, but it's only got, like... That's all full of bullshit, like writing and journals. You having a good time there? You're ruining the shot. Did you just huff at me? I'm yelling at my cat now. So anyway, all of them kind of just did this, and they went along and did the lowest hanging fruit. But naturally, when you do something for a while and movements get co-opted, and by movements get co-opted, I mean it just becomes more obvious what the movement is. They became a lot more alt-right. And I know many of them will say, no, we're not alt-right, but you know what? You're being complicit with the alt-right, Mr. Sargon. I would rather live in a fascist society than live in the future the SJWs want. I don't understand that. I think you're just alt-right at that point, mate. Okay, I've gotten way off topic, mate. This wasn't about criticizing the skeptic community, because there are much better videos that can do that. Much better done, much better edited, much longer, and with much more salient points. You should go watch one of those, because they have a much greater... so much better. I'll probably link to one of them in the bottom. Because I don't have any links for you to go to, except for my Tumblr, but... I mean, are you really surprised I have a Tumblr? Look at my shitty drawings. So what I'm really curious about, I guess, is what caused this transition. Well, not what caused it, but like, did everyone just go along with it because they believed it? There was too many of them for that, I think. I mean, there had to be a few who it was because...
Everyone needs a job, right?
I'm sure that joke is way less funny than I think it is, but, you know... Really, this whole video was just built up for that joke. It wasn't even that good. Maybe I'll have a video that actually has some kind of point at some point. Like, I have a book review I wanted to do. That'd be pretty fun. Okay, bye! Okay, but for real though, yeah, I know this video is a shit show, don't subscribe, do not subscribe. I might edit this together, but I'm not uploading it. This was a huge waste of time.